We're Junkies!
Let's talk about the Fast and the Furious movies. The franchise was started.
Like
contain
20
your
years ago.
excitement. Contain your excitement. So, no, the franchise started back in, what was that, 2001?
2001.
Yeah, 2001.
20 years ago.
So
you know
that-
how
yeah.
crazy that is?
I know, right? So, think of it back then. White boys was wearing the highlights in the hair. That was like the big deal.
Why they gotta be white?
Because they were. That was the only ones that were doing the frosted tips. They were the ones doing the frosted tip. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Nah,
pretty
I'm
sure.
pretty sure there's Asians that were doing frosted tips.
Okay, maybe Asians too.
And before then, it wasn't really frosted tips, but I do remember black people back in the
Peroxide in it,
90s.
dude.
Yeah,
Doing what?
I don't know. Black people with their high top fades and the Gumby fades
Yeah,
used
and
to
the
have the
peroxide
friggin'
at the very top.
That
True.
was back in the day, man.
True,
that was
true,
before,
true.
that was
So-
before
so
the
very
frosted
true.
tips.
So
That's like
contain-
early
yeah.
90s.
Prim is right. Prim is right.
as
Latinos did that shit
as-
too.
Latinos-
Yeah.
as Deadpool-
So that means
Okay. All right.
everybody,
So that was a
man.
little, that was a
As
little bit.
Deadpool would say, continue your racism, sir.
Indeed, you're right about that. My bad. So, thinking about back in them days, we're thinking of street racing was all about neon cars, chrome rims, spinners, nitrous. You know, Hot Import Nights was like a huge brand.
remember going to
Remember
those.
that? Tokyo Midnight Club was like a hot game on the PS2 back in that day. Fast and the Furious took advantage of all that. Getting into the street racing subculture and making a movie out of it. That's where it began. It began about street racing. Yeah, it was about, crime and, a guy that was living on the other side of the law, but it was still mostly about street racing. It has since evolved way past that.
It had street racing element. It was not about street racing. It was about a cop who was going undercover to find out who the heck was robbing these places. So
Yeah,
it was
the
basically
semi-trucks.
Point Break
Yeah,
without the
basically.
surfing.
Yeah, exactly. It was exactly Point Break without surfing. It was a brand new version of Point Break, and it worked very,
Point
very
Break
well.
with racing.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
well, speeding rather.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No, go ahead,
it's
because you're the hater.
no.
in the
I'm
group.
no.
for the record.
Yeah,
For the record, my disdain has only been for the ninth film, but we'll get to that.
we'll get to that.
But for what, like everyone, like Ken Shiro said, like during that time, you had the Midnight Club stuff, the Tokyo Street Racing, like it was a lot of games. Test Drive,
Yeah.
what do? It's like racing games were like the thing, and someone over at Universal obviously kind of picked it up. It was like, hey, what's this, street racing subculture thing going on or whatever, and they made a movie about it, and it just took off from there. And like I will definitely say that for the first movie I enjoyed immensely. I still watch it and
So
I still have fun with it. It's very nostalgic
top of
more
that,
than anything else, but I still enjoy it.
yeah,
And out of all those games, Midnight Club 2 is the best one.
it was.
Out of all those
Everybody-
racing games,
yeah.
Everybody was.
Fast and
everybody
Furious games were garbage.
Wait,
all of them were. But yeah,
Completely.
Midnight Club 2.
Completely.
Midnight Club 2 was
Underground
so
2
completely.
was a little.
No, Need for Speed Underground was good.
Yeah.
but Midnight Club 2 was just a better
was a
game.
pinnacle game. Like everybody wanted to play that. Everybody
Like
wanted
even
to
the computer was like actually realistically difficult in that game. So that game was fun.
Oh, you mean it wasn't like RC Pro Am with the green
with
car,
the rubber banding and like the yellow car.
It was the yellow car. I thought it was the green car. Anyway,
it was the yellow car.
all right. So, but revisiting the early movies in the franchise, starring Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, the late Paul Walker. If we remember those ones, they were kind of your cardboard cutout action flick. If you really had to boil down to it.
Oh yes, very much so.
I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was all that special. To the point that when it came to be Too Fast, Too Furious, I skipped it because I was like, I don't know if I like it that much to really tune into it. So I skipped Too Fast, Too Furious, skipped Tokyo Drift, which was the third movie. I did watch the fourth one because I thought it was getting back to being serious, kind of more grounded. I kind of enjoyed the
Is
story.
that word again? Yes. Okay,
know.
we're gonna have a
Unless we
serious.
say
We have a
100%
moratorium on
grounded
grounded.
is passable, okay?
Right. So.
we're gonna have a moratorium on that
But
word.
the fifth one, when The Rock came in, oh man, that's when the series just took off for me. It was like not only just because I was a fan of The Rock, but it was just a really entertaining movie. It was really good, and it became something beyond street racing, and it became more about heists and stunts and stuff like that, which I really enjoyed. I enjoyed that part of it. Go ahead, guys, talk about it.
it's actually kind of funny when like looking back at Too Fast, Too Furious, because I mean, coincidentally or not or whatever, like looking back at that movie is kind of like Baby Boy and Furious to me. Looking back on it, like especially with the late great John Singleton, because he directed that one.
He did.
And it like the second one is very beat for beat a very cookie cutter type action film, but it has like this certain type of charm to it that especially with it being early 2000s as well. So it's like, so it just has this charm to it. But I think the most ironic thing was, I believe, what was it, 2 years later, I think Warner Brothers decide to dip their toe into like the whole racing genre
with Torque
and put out a movie called Torque.
The one, is that the one with Ice Cube?
And
Yes. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And you know what's hilarious? You know what's hilarious is considering where the Fast series is now, that movie was ahead of its time. Torque was quite ahead of the curve.
Yeah, never seen it. I'm gonna have to sit down and watch.
Torque was a trip, but not only that, Torque had the guy that played Vince. He was the antagonist.
He was.
Oh, he was. Okay.
And then the crazy thing is, I think wasn't Hunnigan or whatever his name is, like the star of it as well, the guy that was in Sons of Anarchy, I believe.
Charlie
Hunnam?
Yeah, I believe. I could be wrong. It's been so long since I've seen that. Hey, we hope you enjoyed that clip. Make sure you check out our live content on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/culturejunkies. We also have a lot of content available on YouTube, unboxings as well as Blu-ray reviews. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/culturejunkies. And on top of all of that, if you go to culturejunkies.net, you can check out our merch store. The link is culturejunkies.net/merch. There's a lot of great merchandise there. So there's links and logos and stuff all around me. So check those out, and we will see you next time.